I'm 76, and nobody knows what I did that winter. My name is Harold Myers. I'm 76 years old, and there is something I have carried for a very long time now, something I never put into words, not for my children, not for my wife when she was still here, not for anyone. I don't know exactly why I'm saying it now. Maybe because the doctor used a word last month that I hadn't heard applied to me before. Maybe because I woke up 3 nights ago and the house was so quiet it felt like it was already waiting. Maybe because I realized somewhere between the darkness and the morning that if I don't say this now, it simply disappears with me. And I'm not sure it should disappear. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. Nothing remarkable about it. A hardware store, 2 churches, a diner that smelled like burnt coffee and something sweet underneath it. My father worked at the mill. My mother kept everything else together with very little and never once complained about it, at least not where I could hear. I was the second of 3 boys, the middle one. If you know what that means, you already know something about how I learned to move through the world, quietly, without taking up too much space, watching, always watching what the people around me needed, and deciding very early that my job was to not add to it. I was good at disappearing into the background. I thought for a long time that was a virtue. I married young, 23. Her name was Elaine. She had dark hair she always wore pinned up, and eyes that caught light in a way that made you feel seen, even across a room. She laughed easily. She cried easily too, which I didn't always understand back then. I thought emotions that moved that quickly through a person were somehow excessive. I thought steadiness was the same thing as strength. We had 2 children. A daughter, Patricia, a son, Daniel. By the time I was 30, I had a family, a small house with a leaking gutter I kept meaning to fix, and a job as a claims adjuster for an insurance company in Cincinnati. It wasn't the life I had imagined, but I'm not sure I had imagined one clearly enough to miss it. I told myself I was content. I believed it, mostly. The winter I'm talking about was 1974. I was 28 years old. Patricia was 4. Daniel had just turned 2 and still wasn't sleeping through the night. Elaine was exhausted in a way that had moved past tired and into something quieter and harder to name. She had stopped laughing as easily. She had started looking at me sometimes with an expression I didn't know how to read, and instead of asking her what it meant, I just looked away. That was my habit, looking away. There was a woman at my office named Ruth. She had started 6 months before. She worked in billing. We had spoken maybe a dozen times before that winter. Small things, coffee, weather, the broken copier on the 2nd floor. But that December, we were both assigned to a project, end-of-year audit. Long hours, late evenings, the office mostly empty except for us and the hum of the fluorescent lights. I want to be careful about how I say this. Nothing happened between Ruth and me. I want to be clear about that, not in the way people might assume. But something happened in me, and I have never told anyone about it. We talked. That's all. We just talked. But it was the kind of talking I hadn't done in years. The kind where you say something and the other person doesn't try to fix it or redirect it or offer a solution. She just received it, whatever I said. I told her things I hadn't said out loud since before I was married. Things about feeling invisible in my own life, about going through the motions that were good motions, correct motions, but feeling somehow beside them rather than inside them. About waking up and already knowing every single thing the day would hold. She listened. She shared things too about her own life, her own distances. And I felt, sitting in that half-lit office in December of 1974, more known than I had felt in a very long time. That's what I have never told anyone. Not that I loved her, I don't think that's what it was, but that I let myself be seen by her, in a way I had stopped letting Elaine see me, in a way I had decided, without ever deciding, that Elaine didn't need to see. The project ended in January. Ruth moved to a different department, then later that year she left the company entirely. I don't know where she went. I never asked. I went home to my leaking gutter and my tired wife and my 2 small children who needed everything, and I closed that winter up inside me, like a letter you write and never send. And I told myself it didn't matter, because nothing happened. But here is what I understand now, sitting in this chair at 76, that I did not understand at 28. The damage wasn't in what happened. The damage was in what I decided that winter about my own life. I decided, without words, without awareness, that the feeling I had in that office, that feeling of being received, of being seen without having to explain or perform or shrink, I decided that feeling was not available to me inside my marriage. I didn't leave Elaine. I never even considered it. But I left something. I withdrew from something, some last remaining openness I had been carrying. And Elaine felt it. I know she felt it, not because she said so. She never said so, but because I watched her over the next few years slowly stop reaching. She stopped reaching across the table to touch my hand. She stopped telling me the small things, the things that don't matter and matter completely. What the neighbor said, what she'd been thinking about on her walk, a dream she had. She stopped offering those things, and I didn't notice right away. And by the time I noticed, I had already decided it was simply how marriages go, that the early warmth was a beginning thing, and this quieter arrangement was the real thing, the adult thing. I told myself we were stable. I believed it, mostly. Patricia grew up and moved to Portland. She calls on Sundays. We talk about her children, her work, the weather there. It's a good call. It's a short call. Daniel stopped speaking to me for 3 years in his 30s. I won't go into all of it. There were things said. There were things not said, which is worse. We repaired it, partially. Enough to be in the same room at Christmas. Enough to hug at the door and mean it, mostly. He lives in Nashville now. He has a daughter I've met 4 times. Elaine got sick when she was 67. It moved quickly, faster than the doctors expected. I was with her. I was present for all of it. I want to say that. I held her hand. I slept in the chair beside her bed in the last weeks. I was there when she went. But there is something I could not give her in those last months, something she asked for without asking for it, in the way she had always asked for things without asking. She wanted to know that she had been enough for me. Not spoken, she would never have spoken it, but I saw it in how she looked at me sometimes, in the long pauses after I said something practical, something about medications or schedules or what to tell the grandchildren. She wanted me to say something true, and I didn't know how. Not because I didn't love her. I did. I do, even now, 6 years later. I reach for her in the morning before I remember. But I had spent so many years deciding that the true things were too heavy to put on her, were too late to matter, or too revealing of a version of myself I had buried under decades of being steady and useful and present, but not quite present. I held her hand, and I said the correct things, and I watched something move across her face that I will carry for whatever time I have left. I think about Ruth sometimes, not with longing, with something more uncomfortable than longing. I think about what it meant that I could speak freely to a near stranger in a fluorescent lay office and could not find a way to speak that same truth to the woman who shared my bed for 41 years. I think about what I was protecting. I told myself I was protecting her, protecting the stability of what we'd built. But I think now that I was protecting myself from being fully known, because being fully known means you can be fully lost, and I was afraid of that in a way I never examined, in a way I covered over with quietness and competence and a gutter I eventually fixed sometime in the mid-'80s. My granddaughter came to visit last spring. She's 24, Patricia's youngest. Her name is Lily, and she has her grandmother's eyes, that particular way of catching light. She sat with me on the back porch for most of an afternoon. She asked me questions, real questions, not polite ones. She asked what I was afraid of. She asked if I missed Grandma. She asked what I wished I had done differently. I gave her careful answers, safe answers, old answers I've rehearsed without knowing I rehearsed them. She listened, and when I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Grandpa, that's not really what you were going to say, is it?" I looked at her, and I had nothing. She didn't push, she just sat with me in the quiet, and I thought, sitting there, that Elaine would have done the same thing once, that she had done the same thing once, early on, before I taught her, without teaching her, that I wasn't going to come all the way to the surface. I don't know what Lily saw in my face. She squeezed my hand before she left. She said, "You don't have to explain anything to me." And I cried after her car pulled out, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere old, from something that's been waiting. I am not telling this because I think anyone can use it. I'm telling it because it is true, and it is mine, and I have kept it in a room I don't go into for nearly 50 years. The winter of 1974 was not a story of something I did. It was a story of something I understood about myself and then immediately buried, that I needed to be known fully, not managed, not handled carefully, not given only the weight I seemed like I could carry, known. And I was so afraid of that need, so ashamed of it somehow, so convinced that wanting it was a weakness or a burden or something that a man who was supposed to be the steady one didn't get to want. So I chose silence over and over again, in 1,000 small moments across a long life. I chose the careful answer, the half-truth, the almost, and the people I loved the most learned to stop asking for the rest. I sit in this house now, and it is very quiet. There are photographs, 40 years of them, on the mantel, in frames Elaine chose, vacations, Christmases, the children at ages they'll never be again. We look happy in most of them. I think we were happy in the way that people are happy when they don't look too closely, when they agree without agreeing to stay at a comfortable depth. I think we could have been something more. I think Elaine knew that, and I think she made her peace with it before I made mine. She was always better at making peace with things. I miss her in a way that has more edges now than it used to. I don't know how much time I have. The doctor used the word monitor. He said it calmly, the way doctors do, and I drove home and sat in the driveway for a while before I went inside. There is nobody to tell, not in the way I mean. Patricia would worry. Daniel would try to fix something. Lily would sit with me, and that would be close, but I'm not sure I can find the words yet. I'm not sure I deserve the grace of her listening when I spent so long not finding a way to listen to myself. So I'm saying it here, to no one, to anyone, to whatever is left of the version of myself that sat in a quiet office in Ohio in the winter of 1974 and felt, briefly, like a whole person. I was always a whole person. I just didn't know what to do with all of it. If you're still here, thank you for sitting with this. I don't need anything from you. I'm not asking for anything. But if something in what I said found a quiet place in you, you don't have to rush away from it. Just sit with it for a moment. That's all. That's all I would have needed someone to say to me a long time ago.